So a couple of weeks ago, I was at the Homestead Festival outside of Columbia, Tennessee, and met a guy that was participating as a vendor there. His wife actually was, and we got to talking about health and fitness. And he shared with me this organization called F3 Nation. I'd never heard of them, but they're 47. They're in 47 states. I think it's over 5,000 individual chapters, and it's the F3 stands for Fitness, Fellowship, and Faith, and it's a group of men that work out 6 days a week, and so I went to Murph Monday, the following Monday, which I guess was two Mondays ago, and at the end of the workout, you're in circle, and for this one. They took prayer requests and shared some insights. I was the FNG. I'm not sure what the F stands for, but I think the NG stands for new guy. And at the end of your first workout, you get to get a name. And so you tell a little bit about yourself. And so I shared a little bit about myself, and I said, I shared what I did, and they started throwing names out, and the names that they threw out, I said, one guy says, Brene Brown. Brene Brown's a coach, right? We call him Brene Brown. And I'm thinking, no, I don't want that to be. So everyone gets a nickname. I didn't want that to be my nickname. Nothing wrong with Brene Brown, just didn't think it was, didn't want to be that. I didn't want that for the rest of my F3 career. Someone said, what about Tony Robbins? And someone else says, no, that's too cool. I guess, you don't get very good names. I mean, my buddies that I met, Chola, Floater, you got Carmen Sandiego, you got Happy Meal, you got Dingo, not great names. And so the one of the guys, as they're batting around a potential name for me, one of the guys says, you got any stories? You got any embarrassing stories? And I thought, and I said, oh yeah, I got a bunch of those. And so I shared an embarrassing story. And so I ended up with the embarrassing story. My nickname now is Vice, which I think is a pretty cool name. And actually a couple of guys afterwards said, you got lucky, you got a cool name. Now again, I'm not here to debate whether or not Vice is a cool name or a bad name, but compared to Happy Meal or, some of these, I guess it's all right. But here's why I'm sharing this is since that day, I've been thinking of embarrassing stories, embarrassing things that have happened to me. And one hit me today that I wanted to share. And I've got a 25, a 21, and a 19-year-old. And I was, my 21-year-old and I are going back and forth on some basketball stuff. Kind of, where does Caitlin Clark rank among shooters and of all time? And I was reminded of something that I said to my son when he was about 11 years old. And he had shared with me that he wanted to be he said, I'm going to be a professional basketball player. And I poo-pooed that idea. And this was a kid that really, really, really hung on what I shared with him up to that point, and even beyond that point, but drifted away at about 15 or 16. But the pain that it caused him when I told him that was not realistic and that he shouldn't have that planned. And I even went on, I don't remember exactly what I said, but in my mind I was buffering him. And he got tears in his eyes, and it upset him so much. And that is so embarrassing to me that I would do something like that. And in my mind, I was being realistic. And what I've thought about today is just really two sides of this. One is how often do we poo-poo people's dreams or their ideas, especially our kids, wanting them to be realistic, and really just squashing their dreams and just peeing on it, just putting out that flame of desire. And so I guess one point to that would be the obvious. Let's not pee on and put out the fire of those closest to us, of our kids, for sure. And again, I mean, I'm sure that a large majority of people that are watching this right now would say, duh, Chuck. I mean, come on. Why? I mean, you didn't know that, dude? How did you, but I didn't. And the second piece of this is the not so obvious, I think. And that is how many times we poo-poo our own dreams and we get in the way of what's possible in our own life. And with all the people over the years that I've had the privilege of mentoring and coaching, which I mean, gosh, I could go back to my Chick-fil-A days, and those were the first days that I mentored people. But then in college, I mentored people, a few, and after college, it really began in earnest when I was in the career. Financial services career with Northwestern Mutual, and started with a guy named Kenny Parker. He was really my first mentee as I had graduated, was no longer a college intern. He was a college intern, and mentored him, and he hit his goal of being a top 10 college intern nationally. And so I've been mentoring people for I guess 4 decades now, three decades. And certainly hundreds, probably over 1,000 people. When I think of our group programs, definitely over, a couple of thousand, whatever it is. 51+% of all the people that I've ever mentored would hold back and poo-poo their abilities and hold back and convince themselves of why they couldn't achieve at a certain level. And I think it's one of the biggest obstacles that anyone faces. And I don't care if you're a high achiever making millions of dollars or tens of millions of dollars a year, or you're starting out and you're making tens of thousands of dollars a year. You're starting out, you're not making anything, you're in a new business, you're making hundreds. It doesn't matter. Across the board, the number one obstacle that most people face is the man or woman in the mirror. And our disempowering self-talk is towards the top of the list, certainly makes the top 10, probably the top 5 list of the things that we do to hold ourselves back. And so as I was thinking of this afternoon, the embarrassment that I had, and it's still painful to think about it. I've certainly apologized, and he's forgiven me, and I think I've forgiven myself. Probably a little bit more I can do there, but the need for us to not beat ourselves up and expect the best, and feel free and confident living our dreams. And so maybe the thought here is, what are language patterns, beliefs, thoughts that you have that are holding you back? From a standpoint of saying, I don't deserve this, I can't do this, why me, how could I accomplish this? Let's start examining that at a deeper level and really just lift those chains. I was in New York on Monday giving a talk to a dear buddy's organization, and I shared with them this concept of, it's not about changing who you are, it's about becoming who you're meant to be. And Michelangelo shared how he didn't create the David. What he did was he just removed all the marble that didn't belong. The statue was always inside that stone. And so one of the things that doesn't belong in our life is our language, our thoughts, our beliefs, that we're not good enough, we're not smart enough, we don't have what it takes, we can't accomplish the thing that maybe that God puts in our heart, or the dream that we have. We beat ourselves up over it, convince ourselves that we can't achieve that. So think about that, maybe reflect upon it, meditate on it. And I just know that every one of us, we've got the ability to be more, to do more, to give more with our life whenever we get out of our own way and release the things that just don't belong, that are not a part of us, the stress, the anxiety, the worry, the fear that we're not capable. Release it and achieve what God put us here to do, which is to be our best, to do our best, and become the very best version of ourselves, which is releasing the things that don't belong.